Okay, Apollo.
I don't want to hear nothing. I want to hear about this Schaumburg event. I'm so jealous.
It was just it was a nice virtual event.
Oh, it was virtual. I thought you went to this. There was an event in
Um,
person. Oh, girl, I was like, dang, I want to go. She could. I want to go to New York. Oh, I thought you was in New York.
Yeah, no, I did e email it to you all.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. But as soon as he started talking about the book, I was like, ooh, I have to send this to Donovan.
I have to
It
get that
sounds really
info.
cool. It's about like a Harlem prep school in like the
I want to
1930s
get
or
it. I think
40s.
it's. I already put it in my cart. There's another book I'm looking for too, but I forgot the name of that one.
Where'd you get that hat? That hat's fly.
Made my. So it says, give your people flowers while they're here.
Somebody made it for you, right?
No,
All your
so there's this
all
company
your
in Kansas.
John B.
No, there's this company in Kansas City called Made Mob, and they make like Kansas City like t-shirts and stuff, but then they have like really cool stuff like this. So my brother told me about it.
That's
So
awesome.
I got it.
All
Oh,
right.
you're
Well,
running this.
yeah.
Cool. Oh,
Well,
my
it's
book
my
club's over.
well, I was gonna be like a book club that at least the ones that
Oh,
happened
okay,
this
okay, okay. I
year.
got
Talk about the ones that happened.
you. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Oh, I need to post about that. That's next week, isn't it? Or week after next.
yeah, I can't make that. Are you going to that?
What day is that?
Paulo has basketball Tuesday nights.
Tuesday. Oh, yeah, I can be there.
Okay, sweet. I'll have to watch the video.
This is a Tuesday.
I hope my I'm gonna make you co-host. Oh, you
Yeah,
already are. Sweet. My Zoom has been like freezing on me sometimes, and I'm just like praying it doesn't do it.
I
All
got you.
right. I just texted like Garrett like 2 minutes before you came on about Dr. Bradley. Should.
Oh, yeah, he's not here. What's that right, dude? Oh, oh, I was gonna look over email.
Have you been to the Schomburg Center?
No, it's a dream. I definitely want to go. I
Oh, you
will not. I will go. I just don't know when.
you gotta go, even if it's just for like a day or
Yeah, I
two.
definitely want to do. My
Oh, the two of us
mama,
should go to see that would be a fun trip to
that
take.
would be a
Just
really fun trip. My mama
just
loves New York, so I know she
just
also loves.
48 hours and
That would be so cool.
yeah,
There's so many cool events.
they do.
Yeah, I want to do one where, well, I definitely just want to go for an initial one, but also want to go to one where you like make the appointment and they like curate it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can drop these links in there. Getting another screen has been life
Life
changing.
girl, I don't know why.
I wrote it down like if someone who's seeking to get into a doc program asks me like what you need two screens. There's
I
no
can't believe
way
you've been functioning this
with
long without
one.
with two screens. You don't I'm like, girl, you're way behind on that. You need that seconds. Because it's
I
also just
just
like,
didn't. I've been putting it off, putting it off, putting it off,
and
and
they're
then
not that expensive. You can get one for 60 on Amazon.
that's what I got. So like
Like I have
last
an old
month,
one, like a monitor for my school, and then
oh, that's
I have a
nice.
traveling one.
That's what this one is the fold. It folds
The
down
fold up. Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah. It's bigger
Yeah.
than my laptop screen, which is nice, but I don't know how I was serve. I don't know why I didn't do this sooner.
Well, you did it now. How did your Houston interview practice go?
Oh, I didn't have the practice because I had class,
Okay.
but the interview went well. They asked four questions, well, three technically, but they asked four questions. It wasn't as intimidating as I thought. Everybody
Okay.
was like smiling, so it wasn't
There's a
like
history teacher down there I really like.
in Houston or
No,
Austin.
She's at Austin. You were at Houston, right?
No, I was at Austin.
Oh, Austin, yeah.
She's a history teacher, like high school teacher.
No, she teaches at the university.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Signe Fournay. Her focus is more on is a lot on just like black women joined slavery.
Mm, that's
Oh,
cool.
here he comes. Yay. Here he is. Okay. Good morning, Dr. Bradley.
I said, good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing all right. My name is Abigail.
Hey, Miss
Uh,
Abigail.
yep, I'm a second year doctoral student here at the center. And I'm hosting Black History Nerds today, and I could not be more excited for your presentation.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. That means the world. I appreciate it.
Donovan?
Hi, I'm Donovan. Good morning, Dr. Bradley. I'm a fourth year doctoral student and a fellow at the center.
Oh, I'm scared of you all. Okay, about to go out in the world. All right. All right. All right.
Yes, she's on her way out the door. It's not going to be the same without her. Like, how am I
I
going to
know.
survive without DJ to look up to?
I know.
Dr. Bradley, did you want to practice, just make sure that you can share your screen?
Oh, do I need to share my screen? I didn't know. Okay, okay. What
Did you?
yeah, no, I should be good to go, I think.
Okay.
I don't have anything to share so much. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Then I also like to always ask, is there a specific place you want us to recommend people purchase your books?
Oh, not especially. There's a local bookstore out here, but it wouldn't make much sense for people to order them out here. So
Okay.
wherever they buy books,
Okay. I
yeah.
think I'll look it up on a like a black owned bookshop like
Yeah, Olive Tree. So Olive Tree Books out here is where I like to have people buy books.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna run and get a copy of the book real quick, and then be right back. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Abigail, looks like they have an online shop.
They do?
So I can add that to I'll add it to your doc.
Great.
Oh, okay. All right. And then with format, uh, just reminder of how you want to run it. Yeah.
So we usually do just like about 10 minutes of like introductions of like I'll go over the center,
Mm-hmm.
programming at the center.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll introduce you, and
Mm-hmm.
then your presentation can be like 30 to 35 minutes. And then the last 10 to 15 minutes can be questions.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that works for me.
That works for you? Okay.
Yeah. And we can open up more time for question. Either which way, it should be fine though. But yeah, I'm ready to rock.
Do you want to test really quick sharing your screen, and then I will let people in.
Okay, let me see. Share, host, disabled person. Let me see. Share.
There
It
we
says
go.
host disabled.
Oh,
Okay, let me try one more.
yep.
Okay, cool.
I'm not seeing anything just yet.
Okay, hold on real quick. Real quick. Okay, let me try it again so that it works. Come on. Okay. All right, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay,
Perfect.
cool, cool, cool. All right,
All right.
that should do it. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Donovan. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Black History Nerds on this Saturday. We are so happy that you could be here. My name is Abigail Henry. I am your host for today. I'm really excited about this morning's session. In the chat, please tell us where you're from, what your role is as an educator, and perhaps what brought you here today. All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are just joining us, I am really excited about today's Black History Nerd session. We have Dr. Bradley joining us today. I've been looking forward to his presentation all week. Um, in the chat, please tell us where you are zooming from, what your role is as an educator, and what brought you here today. We will get started in about just a minute. Thanks, Aisha, for getting us started with the introduction. Yay, microfolk. Dr. Williams is in the house. He presented for us last year. Man, time flies. Oh, and you're zooming from St. Paul's. Okay, welcome, Dr. Williams. Again, welcome, welcome, welcome to this November's Black History Nerds Saturday session. My name is Abigail. I am a fellow here at the center. I will be your host for today, and in just about a minute, we'll get started. Please continue to introduce yourself in the chat. We love knowing where you are joining us from, what your role is as an educator, and perhaps what brought you here today. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get us started since it is 11:03. Welcome to the Center for K through 12 Black History and Racial Literacy Education Center. This is a space where people from throughout can just learn about the research that we do. We offer a lot of professional development opportunities, like today's public free Black History Nerds session. We prioritize networking, bringing people together to discuss Black history. We also do a lot of advocacy and consulting. Here is, along with LeGarrette King, our director, here is a list of all the fabulous people that work at the center. We have Donovan, Queen Dom up there in the top left, a fourth-year doctoral student, also a published author, getting ready to dissertate soon, and she's smiling because, yep, she's been doing that work. Up there on the right, we also have our fabulous Daphne Bibbs. At the left-hand corner there, we have Hannah Montgomery, who helps us with all our operations and planning big things like the Teaching Black History Conference. We also have Dr. Christina King, who helps us out with a lot of programming at the center, and she's also a clinical professor at UB. And then there's me, an old picture of me. I am a second-year Schomburg Fellow, and I am running the micro-credential, which I will talk about in a little bit. Okay, so just a flashback of where we have been and where we are going. We've had 2 Black History sessions so far. This is the 3rd one. Also look forward and save the date for December 13th for Dr. Sumter. We will, in the chat, drop the registration for signing up for that Black History Nerds session as well. We have had 2 book clubs so far. Donovan led a book club on creating educational justice, and Professor King, all right, came out of hiding himself and ran a book club teaching Black history to white people. He had a session this morning. He has one more next Saturday. Feel free to join that. I have been going, and the conversations on that book have been absolutely wonderful. Our Teaching Black History micro-credential. This is a 1-year micro-credential program. It starts in September and it lasts through about 9 months. The cost of this micro-credential is $1,500. We are not currently accepting applications, but we will for our 3rd cohort that will come out in the spring. We are working on also creating a LinkedIn page in which we will be posting more information about the center's events, and I will definitely be showing off some of the microeducators' work. A lot of the students who are currently in the 2nd cohort are joining us today. Okay, we also are offering a researching race session. This is taking place on November 18th in the evening from 5:30 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. This session is led by Dr. Smith Purviance. It's Theorizing Black Girlhood from Theory to Practice. We hope you can join us for that. Also, we have our Teaching Black History Conference. I do not have a slide for that, but that takes place in July. Donovan will drop that for you. This year's theme is Founding Black Mothers and Fathers. We really hope you can make it to the conference. It's a great place to network. And it was actually through the conference that I was introduced to the center and all the wonderful, fabulous work done at the center. All right, but for now, let me introduce our presenter for today. Dr. Stefan M. Bradley is the Charles Hamilton Houston Professor of Black Studies and History at Amherst College and the author of 2 award-winning books, Upending the Ivory Tower, Civil Rights, Black Power in the Ivy League, and Harlem versus Columbia University, Black Student Power in the late 1960s. Stefan is a recent recipient of numerous honors and awards for his scholarship, teaching, leadership, and service. As a scholar grounded in community work, Bradley is a respected voice and thought leader in African Americans' history and modern-day African American race relations. He has appeared in the New York Times, Washington Post, and on MSNBC, CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, BAT, the Oprah Winfrey Network, the History Channel, and more. Originally from Washington, Dr. Bradley received his PhD in the 20th century U.S. history with an emphasis on the Black experience from the University of Missouri, Columbia. So welcome, 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 Dr. Bradley. I will stop sharing my screen and turn it over to you.
Listen, I am so pleased to be here with you all today. Look at the educators in the room. This is, well, the old people you say, I'm running in the high cotton right now. You got Williams, King, Abigail, all of the good people in here. And so I'm so thankful for you all. I'm so thankful that you took your Saturday. Donovan is here. I'm so happy you took your Saturday to be with me. And this is my kind of program. Like, what kind of people spend their Saturday nerding out on Black history? These are my kind of people. And that's how I know we're gonna win. Like, it might be hard, but we're gonna win because we're the people that take the time to learn what we need to know to get to where we need to go. So I'm on it. I'm on it today. So what I'll try to do today is spend a little time telling you about a book that I just came out with. The book is called If We Don't Get It, A People's History of Ferguson. I'll read a little piece of the book. I'll try not to bore you, but we'll go from there. For you to understand what I'm talking about, though, you have to put yourself in the mind frame of, well, let me put it like this. Let me share screen, okay? Let me show you a human being. Let me show you. Hold tight. Chat, hold tight. Let me show you a human being. Now, this is hard for some people to understand, but I'm going to show you anyway, okay? All right. Can you see this on the screen? Abigail, can you see this? Yes. Okay. This is a human being. This is somebody by the name of Michael Brown Jr. Michael Brown Jr. In August of 2014, had been graduated from high school for about a month and a half or so. And it was hard times getting through high school. This was a large young man. He was 6'4", and he was a grandson, and he was a son, of course, a brother. But more than that, he was a human being, a citizen of these United States. Now, this is important to note because what I'm trying to show you is that this person would change the world, and he didn't even know it. This person would set up what we're currently experiencing right now. Mike Brown, on August 9th, 2014, went into a local confectionery of sorts. He had taken a box of cigarillos. Somebody tried to get in his way before he left, and he pushed him aside. He and his friend Dorian Johnson walked down the street that he lived on. A police officer, a white police officer, pulled up on him and told him to get the F out of the street. They responded in kind. Mike Brown and Dorian Johnson responded in kind. And a physical altercation ensued. The altercation resulted in Darren Wilson, the white Ferguson police officer, letting off 12 rounds, 5 of which landed in Mike Brown's body. Now, to understand this, you have to understand the Midwest. In particular, you have to understand Missouri. It was 90-some degrees when this happened, and it was 100% humidity. Those 5 shots went through his body. Mike Brown laid out on Canfield Drive. The police left him on the ground for 4.5 hours, this high school graduate. For 4.5 hours. They left him with no sheet over his body. They didn't provide any kind of curtains or anything like that. Everybody is outside in the Canfield Green apartment complex where Mike Brown and his grandmother and mother live. Everybody is outside, and they can see his body laid out. His mother would come. There would be shrieks. They wouldn't let her come up and see him as he laid bleeding out on the ground. the mamas and grandmamas and aunties, and this is the history of the Ferguson Uprising. The mamas and the grandmamas and the aunties were the first to turn up. They were the first to protest and to march. And when they did, the so-called, what America calls thugs, went out to protect their mamas and grandmamas. When that happened, the Ferguson police brought out police dogs. You hear what I'm saying? Police dogs. You haven't heard of that since Selma, since Montgomery, since Birmingham. You haven't heard of police dogs. They brought out police dogs in this 99% Black apartment complex to sick on people. These Black people couldn't mourn in public. They couldn't grieve publicly. This was somebody's son, grandson, and brother. Quickly, that turned into what we're seeing today, and that is militarized policing. Militarized policing. So for all of you who are worried about what you're seeing right now in terms of the police going rogue, in terms of people violating freedom rights, all of that was tested on the ground in 2014, and I happened to be there. I was the director of the African American Studies program at St. Louis University. My student was the first on the ground in protesting Mike Brown's death. One of my students was pepper sprayed and tear gassed and shot with rubber pellets. Another student called me and told me that this happened. All I could think about was somebody shot my student. And so I grabbed my knife in my pants and I'm getting ready to move. The student was like, no, we took the student to a mentor's house. When I finally was able to talk to those students who were out there protesting the death of an 18-year-old, when I finally got to talk to them, these are students that I taught the Black freedom movement. I taught them in class. I begged them not to go out in the street anymore because I was scared of these kinds of people. You see the officer on a tank that they mobilized. I was scared. I didn't want them to go out there, even though I taught them about what Uhuru Williams writes about, the Black Panther Party. I taught them about the Revolutionary Action Movement, and I taught them about SNCC. I taught them about all of that and how revolutionary they were and how progressive and radical they were. But I didn't want them to go out in the streets because I didn't want them to get killed, because I was sure if they killed one 18-year-old, they were going to kill the next 18-year-old. My students became a leader of their professor. They said, "Professor, listen, we have to go out, and we're going to go out, whether you tell us we can or not." And so I decided to follow them out, not because I'm brave, not at all, but because I wanted to be with them. And as a result, we were out for a year, and I got to see some things that were so edifying. I got to see some things that were so traumatizing. I got to see some things that I can't forget. But what I saw most of all was the creation of a movement. And this is so important because that movement provided the roadway to what we saw as a Black reckoning in 2020 out in Minneapolis when George Floyd was killed. It set the stage for so many different things for people to run for office. But most of all, it made it plain that Ferguson was ground zero of the modern Black freedom movement, ground zero of the modern Black freedom movement. And so I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and I'm going to read you a little bit about this book that I wrote and kind of why I wrote it. And I don't mean to bore you, but stick with me just for a little bit if you can, okay? Let me see if I could do this the right way. For years, I've been quite timid and reluctant to write a book on the Ferguson Uprising because I didn't want to give the impression that I was taking financial advantage of the tragedy that occurred on August 9th, 2014, and afterwards. I am a scholar and historian of modern African-American history, social movements, and higher education. My life's work in the academy has focused on the role of Black youth who use their power to advance goals for freedom. I have attempted to move young people from the margins of American history to the center of the narrative as it concerns democracy and progress toward freedom. I have been blessed to publish my written work and to speak widely with respect to my findings. Further, I have taught and mentored thousands of students about the nuances of the Black freedom movement. And I don't mind saying that I'm a devoted educator. I've worked hard at that. Taking to heart author Chinua Achebe's admonishment, this is what he said. He said, until the lions have their own historians, the history of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. I'll read it again. Until the lions have their own historians, the history of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. It is time to give the lions their glory. By shying away from using my professional skills to contribute to the narrative of the movement, I realize I've been doing a disservice to history. Listen, I may not be the best scholar or even a real activist by many standards, but I have seen the lions in action. They were pure, fierce, and bold. At this, now the 11-year anniversary of the uprising, I feel a duty to publicly feature the role of young Black people who moved beyond apathy to shut down public thoroughfares, businesses, councils, and private institutions in search of justice. Listen closely as I say this. They were imperfect leaders with notable flaws. After all, they were healing from their own histories and traumas. Still, they chose to trust each other to create community, which is a primary component of justice work. So in preparation for this book, I read an August 23rd, 2014 tweet by a St. Louis rapper a leader and organizer of a group called Hands Up United. His name was Kareem Jackson. He goes by the rap name Tef Poe. He discussed his decision to join and lead the movement. He said, for me to spend as much time as I do rapping about revolution and not contribute to being on the ground with the people would be a travesty. Do you hear me? Listen, I am no rapper, but I recognize bars when I see them. This book's purpose is to recenter attention on the place and people that created the greatest cultural shift in the new millennium. They are the inspiration for If We Don't Get It. And so that's the basis of the book that I wrote. I'm here to tell you about today, these imperfect and flawed young people, leaders. These are the young people that I claim, and I'm on solid ground. And if you argue with me, that's fine. We can go out in the grass and tussle, but you don't want that because this is 150 pounds of thunder. But these are the young people that I claim rescued American democracy because they were smart enough to holler like hell when their freedom rights were violated, when their First Amendment rights to assemble were violated, when their First Amendment rights and freedom of speech were violated, when their Fourth Amendment rights were violated. They were the first ones to hit the streets. People like me, listen, people like me, I'm bougie. Listen, I'm everything you think. Like I'm a fraternity man, I'm a college professor, I vote, I wear ties all the time. Yes, I'm him. I'm the bougie guy that you think about. Like I'm him. If left to people like me, we would have wrote the nastiest emails possible. We'd have been like, dear councilman, dear congressperson, I am dismayed at what I see on the screen. That's what we would have done. But these young people went out and, as per usual in American history, saved the democracy, saved the democracy. And they did so by looking out for themselves and organizing. Now, this was important to note. The young people that I interviewed for this book, I interviewed maybe 20-some people for this book. These young people, most of the young people, I'd say probably 90% of the young people had never participated in any political action before. But when an 18-year-old whom they could identify with was killed, they were willing to put their lives on the line. Not just their lives, and this is the important part of the story, they put their livelihoods on the line. So when I say that, people who were students dropped out of school. People who had jobs left their jobs to participate in this movement. People who had homes left their homes to participate in this movement. The flaws that these young people had were flaws that you would understand young people having. When a whole bunch of money came to Ferguson, Missouri from donations, young people didn't know how to handle it. There was no infrastructure created to funnel money. These people had left their jobs, so they needed money. So they had conflicts over money. There was conflicts over who got screen time. This is important because we're talking about young people. When we teach about, and this is why I like Professor Uhuru Williams, when he teaches about the Black Panther movement, one of the things that we love to do as historians, we love to talk about COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program, and how J. Edgar Hoover undermined and neutralized the Black Panther Party. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But you know what else led to impediments for the party? The fact that there were all teenagers and 20-something-year-olds trying to change the world. They didn't know. They didn't know they were experimenting with this. And that's precisely what happened on the ground in Ferguson. These young people struggled with certain issues, right? One issue that they struggled with is how do you fight for Black liberation and include everybody? Huh? How do you fight for Black liberation and include everybody, all Black people, which includes queer Black people? Huh? Early on, one of the things that young people saw was that on the screen, you saw mostly Black males. The attention was on Black males, okay? Well, what about women who were from day one in the front lines of the protests? I'm talking about women fighting the police. You hear me? Fighting the police. They didn't somehow get interviewed. And so there was an organization that came about called Millennial Activists United, where Black queer women spoke on behalf of women and talked about the issues that had afflicted, you hear me, afflicted the Black freedom movement. That is, where we wanted some kind of messianic Black man to be in the front of the movement. They said that won't do for this movement. And so people like Brittany Farrell and Alex Templeton moved to the forefront to be heard. Ashley Yates. They stood alongside people like Tef Poe. They stood alongside people who were, and I wish I could say this any other way, we would call this person homophobic, a person like Darren Seals. Darren Seals was one of the most courageous, do you hear me? Courageous. I'm talking about face down any tank, face down all of the tear gas. One of the most courageous Black leaders of this movement, but he was also homophobic. He had problems with the idea that some of the Ferguson Uprising leaders were saying, we want justice for Mike Brown and we want freedom rights for queer people as well. This is hard. These people are building a plane or fixing a plane while it's in the air. This is difficult. So there was conflict. People said mean things, awful things to each other, but they figured out how to work together when it came time for actions. There were students who participated in this, college students. This was difficult for them because they still had to make their grades. Remember I told you about the student who was pepper sprayed and tear gassed and shot with rubber pellets? He had to go to his residential advisor training the next morning and got up after that and went to his advisor training, an orientation the next morning. He was trying to be a student and a soldier at the same time. Listen, wouldn't it be cool if he could have just been a student? That would have been the coolest thing ever. But he had to fight on behalf of his people. Now, in the movement, there were people that gave up everything to fight. Who would be a real activist? If you have to run off and go to class, do you get to be a real activist when everybody else is on the street all day long? What about those? Are you a real activist if you didn't go to jail? Are you a real activist if you never tasted the tear gas that burped out of these tanks? These are the questions that they asked each other and that they tested each other with. What would be your role in the movement would be the question. I worked with a group of young professionals who we called ourselves the Young Citizens Council. We were all young leaders in various parts of our in various fields. Could we leave our jobs? No, we didn't leave our jobs. We didn't. But what we did is we tried to mobilize the resources of our jobs. And so when the protests came to my campus, St. Louis University, I tried to ensure that the students who were also Ferguson protesters were cared for. And that when they negotiated a deal that the community got the most it could after what was called Occupy St. Louis University. What did they win? One of the things they won, the young people on the ground, well, I'll tell you about some of the policy things they won, is St. Louis, the city, and Ferguson had to change the way that it fined Black people. Ferguson participated in what you could call racial capitalism. That is, it made money, most of its money, on ticketing and fining and incarcerating Black people. That's how it made most of its money. The federal government, back when the federal government and the Civil Rights Commission and the Attorney General actually investigated injustices, the federal government found that there was a pattern and practice of racial discrimination amongst the Ferguson police force. That's young people who did that. And so there was a consent decree that came down on the Ferguson police force. The young people were able to get the judges to cancel the warrants, the bench warrants that people had for these fines that they couldn't pay. The young people were able to do this. And I hope you're paying attention. I know I'm taking up a whole bunch of time, but I just want you to hear me on this. They were able to take protest to politics, to policy. The young people, seeing how they were able to organize on the ground there, said, well, I guess I could do that in politics. We're able to run for office. One of my students, Alicia Saunier, became the alderwoman. Well, first she became a school board member, and she became an alderwoman in St. Louis after that. Rasheen Aldridge, a labor organizer, young man, labor organizer, became an alderperson as well. They organized along with people who didn't run for office, but became queen makers. People like Kayla Reed organized political action groups to put people in office. That's what led to the eventual election of Tashara Jones, the first Black woman mayor of St. Louis. That was these young people that did that. That was the young people that did that. In addition to negotiating with private institutions like St. Louis University and other organizations. They did that. Some of the young people who were leading the Ferguson Uprising were the first ones to mobilize resources when a terribly destructive tornado struck St. Louis in May 2025. The same people, I'm talking about the people who were part of these organizations that I mentioned, They were the ones that got water when the city wouldn't do it, when the state wouldn't do it, and when the federal government wouldn't do it. They took care of their own. They took care of their own. And so it's those young people that I wanted to feature. And those are the young people that I have spent my time celebrating. And so that's what I wanted to bring to you today. I'm going to cast it open. I can tell you a little bit more about, you know, what role I played or whatever you might want to know about the book. But I'm going to cast it open to questions right now so I don't run off at the mouth. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Bradley. And everyone, please show him your appreciation, your love. That was just really, really that fabulous. There was so much there that gave me a lot to think about. I was really specifically taken by your Achebe quote and seeing lions as historians. I just love the way that you center the power of young people to change the world and talked about how much us adults, professors can learn from the young. And so I actually just wanted to get us started with this question. Like, what suggestions do you have for educators to document the activism of the young? I really
Yeah.
see what students do and their activism to be primary sources for the future. And as we are seeing Black histories being erased in so many spaces and places right now, what advice do you have to us educators for documenting student activism?
This is the most crucial thing. Well, in my nerdy mind, this is one of the most crucial things that needs to happen. One of the things that happens is this happened with the civil rights movement. People that were never around came in and wrote about the civil rights movement. And they wrote in such a way that the people who participated in the civil rights movement couldn't even recognize what the people wrote about. That's the shame. The lions have to tell their own story. They have to. So as educators, one of the things that's important to me is we have to ensure that these young people are either writing their experiences or recording, like in an oratorical way, recording their experiences. And the way that I do it is they get credit for it. They get credit for it. Now, I was teaching these young people who were leading the movement. Listen to me. I was teaching the young people who were leading the movement. I did not allow anybody to turn anything late. I kind of regret it now because I was a little hard on them. I kind of regret it now. But they had to turn everything in. One of the things that I did, though, is that you could write about your experience and you got credit for that. You just had to document everything. You had to document everything. This was important, and you had to contextualize everything. So to me, as frequently as we can, we need to hear these young people and record these young people. Pro tip, we need our own archives too, because it won't be long before people start erasing archives, digital archives, because they don't fit into the American narrative, into the propaganda American narrative. So we need to work on organizing and maintaining our own archives in that way. So I think that's one way for educators to do it. The other thing that I always tell educators anyway is it's your responsibility to teach. Like, it's not your responsibility to propagandize students. That's not our responsibility. But it is our responsibility to teach young people about the systems that affect their lives. Like, and that includes the smallest things, like, why are there potholes, so many potholes on your grandmama's street? Like, and who fixes that? Like, we need to teach young people that. Like, other things that affect young people is what is colonialism and what does that mean? Like, we need to, this is so important to me, is you never let your enemy choose, or you never let your opponent choose your heroes for you, right? So we need to start teaching who are modern day heroes. Like, so I look at Burkina Faso. I look at people on the ground here in the United States who are resisting in so many different ways. The other thing that we have to teach young people is that leadership doesn't always come in the way of people who are wearing ties and suits and that sort of thing. That it looks like the young people who were on the ground in Ferguson, who had dreadlocks, neck tattoos, and smelled like weed. Those are leaders too. Those are leaders too. The kids use that term. What do they call it? The YNs. I don't use that term, but that's what the kids use. They use that term. We need to recognize those young people as leaders and how to cultivate that leadership. So that's what educators can do, to my mind.
I'm thinking, I don't know if this is a question, but I'm kind of thinking through my thoughts here, Doc. Um, and I'm thinking about your comments on who you are, but the way in which you help support, your students who's on the ground. And I'm thinking, and I'm assuming based on your CV and all that stuff that we're of the same age. You myself, this Gen X generation where we missed
Mm-hmm.
a generation of large mass protests. Like I don't think we
Mm-hmm.
maybe in a singular fashion, right?
Mm-hmm.
In many, spaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there is a disconnect, right? Between kind of the last generation who had those large mass protests and this more recent generation who demonstrated through the Black Lives Matter era. My colleague and friend, Dr. Ashley Woodson, she's at Wayne
Mm-hmm.
State now,
Mm-hmm.
has a piece on how she did a study on young people and civil rights history. And, kind of similar to what you noted, the students in her class, these were secondary high school students, did not connect
Mm-hmm.
with the histories of the civil rights movement, mainly because of this concept of I don't talk like that. I'm not middle class. I'm not Christian,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or I don't agree with those principles. So how can I see myself within that civil rights movement and how we're doing this now? So I'm wondering how we could continue to support, particularly the generation that is that is a forgotten generation, right? X, right?
Mm-hmm.
In many ways, how can we um, lead that while that generation is getting older, we're the voice that could help
Mm-hmm.
these young people push through agendas. But at the end of the day, we as a collective did not have the experience of a mass protestation movement. Does that make any sense?
No, I'm following you definitely. I'm picking up what you're putting down, Big Dr. King. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Listen, here's the thing. There's this is something we dealt with on the ground too. Part of it, Gen X, uh, some of us were on the ground for like when affirmative action was going away, to try to, keep affirmative action. You remember this in the 90s and that kind of stuff. But you're right. In large part, Gen X wasn't part of any major street movements. We probably missed the anti-apartheid movements of the 80s in a major way. And so we had to figure out what we could do. So here's the thing. Not everybody's going to be a fist pumper. Not everybody's made to be out in the street. That's one of those myths. Everybody talks like they march with Martin Luther King. That's so silly. Like it's so silly. Not everybody marched with Martin King. That's cool. If you can't do that, that's fine. But we do need to teach about different people and how they supported. And this is what I'm talking about with Gen X, with these educators. Like, if you're not going to go out in the streets, that's cool. Can you contribute to the bail fund though? Like, can you do that? Like, can you ensure? So one of the things that you know, I'm not a very good activist. Look, if anybody asks you, nope, you didn't see Steph in the front lines. You didn't see Bradley in the front lines. Nope, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle. Yeah. And when the tanks come out, I run. Yep. I'm not courageous. I'm not those things. But I'm going to get you out of jail. That's for sure. I'm going to do that. But I'm also going to write about you. I'm also going to take back to my place of work an understanding that no, it's not the young people who are protesting of the problem. It's the system that created a certain kind of poverty. It's the system that propagates a certain kind of violence that they're protesting against is the problem. What can I do? How about after they finish protesting, you know, they get arrested and all that kind of stuff. Can we get them into schools? Can we get them into university? Can we get them to do that? Can we find jobs for these young people? Like that's what we can do as an older generation. I think these are ways to participate in that. But also, I love the point that you made. Also, how we characterize and frame these young people is vitally important to posterity. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like our ability to see these young people for the humans that they are. One of the things that I did in the book is I write about young people. I call them citizens all the time, citizens, and I call them young Democrats, small d, not big D, young Democrats and citizens regularly in the book, because I'm trying to remind people that these are the best that America has right here. And to be a citizen, all you have to do is be born or naturalized in these United States. I don't care what these mass gang members running around snatching people say. You have to be born or naturalized in these United States to be a citizen, and you have all rights wherein. And so framing these young people the way that they should be framed is an important thing. That's why I talked about Mike Brown as a high school graduate, as somebody who was about to go to trade school after this. That's important to me because that's the biggest part of his life. The other thing that Gen X can do, and I'm running off at the mouth, I'm going to stop. But the other thing that Gen X could do, can we allow these young people to mess up? Like, to mess up and forgive them for this? Like, cause if you're Gen X, then you know we effed it up more than a few times. Like I did my share of messing some things up. Can we grant these young people the grace to mess something up? They're not gonna all do it right. They're not gonna all do it right, but they should have an opportunity to mess it up like we did. So yeah, that's what I think Gen X could do right now.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Yeah,
shout to Ashley Woodson. Yeah, shout
yeah.
to
Yeah, we forget how young these people are, right? We even talked about it in the book club earlier about how young these folk were when they did these excellent things for our country. So yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
absolutely.
Dr. Bradley, there was a question from Tara in the chat. What do you think sustains people's hope and determination in moments when progress feels slow or resistance feels overwhelming?
Woo. Listen, are you talking about this very moment? It sounds like you're talking about this very moment. Look, the young people on the ground, one of the things that we hollered was, I believe that we will win. Like, and they hollered this while facing phalanxes of officers. They hollered this while being arrested, while facing off armored personnel vehicles and AR-15 rifles. They said, I believe that we will win. And the other chant, they would say, hands up, don't shoot. They didn't have any weapons. You saw the palms of their hands and you saw the AR-15. Did you see the dude with the assault rifle on the tank when I showed earlier? That's who they were facing. But listen, you can't beat, I'm teaching life lessons right now. You can't beat somebody who has nothing to lose. The problem is you marginalize these people to such a place to where they felt they had nothing to lose but their chains, as Asada said. They'll win. They'll win. And so in this moment, you have to take hope from things. Like one of the things that one of the women who was an advisor to the movement, a lady by the name of Jamala Rogers, one of the things she teaches is you have to celebrate small victories. Small victories, one is survival, right? We survived tonight, okay? That's good. Another small victory is when we can place people in positions where they can exercise power. whatever power that is, whatever little power that is. Those are small victories that we need to claim. And that's how we sustain ourselves. Another thing, and this is where some of the young people got it right. They believed in something called self-care. I was oppositional to this because I am Gen X. I was oppositional at the first part because look, Gen X people are like, we soldier through, Jack. That's what we do. Like, no food, no water. It doesn't matter. We're on the way. All kinds of foolishness. All kinds of foolishness. You know what we don't write about, by the way? And I want Dr. King to write about this. I want Dr. Williams to write about this. And where's my man? I want us to write about how many, oh, I see my student Makeen Yassar on here. I want people to write about how many movement leaders had mental illness because of the work that they were doing. I want people to write about how many people's families got broken up because of their participation in the movement. So one of the things that I write about in the book is one of my students, I'll put his business out because it's in the book, had an affair. He was in a relationship. This is the student that got pepper sprayed and pelted with rubber bullets. His partner carried him to safety. His girlfriend carried him to safety. He cheated on that girl. He cheated on that girl. One, because he was a young man, but two, because of the appeal of everything. One of the things that we got to do is show that we're human, but that there has to be a way for us to bounce back, And so the hope that we get is the idea that these people in the past who were flawed and who made mistakes found a way to come together to advance movement. They did it before, which means we can do it now. I also see my homeboy, Colin Perryman out there. Yeah, very good.
Doc, man, you starting something now, man. The women will be like, "Dang, man, we can't even say these brothers from activism now."
No, and this is real though. Isn't this real? So these are real life issues. Like we think that all the real life stuff goes away once you get to movement. The movement provides a concentration lens on whatever is happening with you. And so excitement and passion and all that kind of stuff, it has people doing things that they wouldn't naturally do. By the way, it had people fighting each other in ways that they would never fight each other because of the movement, because of the trauma that was unhealed before they even came to movement. The movement pressurized everything to where they were. They were fighting best friends like they were mortal enemies. That's what happens. And we need to talk about that and figure out a way to move forward.
All right, I believe we have a question from David, then Jada, and then Colin.
Can you hear me okay?
I got you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Bradley, for being with us today. So I was wondering, I'm thinking back to when you were talking about when you're at St. Louis. If I'm not mistaken, that's a primarily white institution.
Mm-hmm.
So I would assume you were probably junior faculty when you were there as well.
Yeah, I had just a few tenure. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I guess one thing I wonder, like for educators that they want to contribute in any way they can, but particularly educators like yourself who might be at a PWI where your livelihood, like I'm just wondering like the strategies and things you would share with particularly like junior faculty at PWIs they're trying to contribute in any way to the good fight, but trying not to lose their livelihood, at the same time by being targeted, etc.
This is a super question. Like one of the things that you can do, and this is for junior faculty, is try your best to create, you see how the right has done? Try to create a safe space. The right would have you thinking that's political correctness talk. No, hey, listen, my students were in spaces where they could have died. So I created safe spaces. That's your job as an educator. Young people should be safe. So you create a safe space where they can express themselves and be themselves in a space. That's one way to do things if you're a junior faculty member. Here's the other thing, and this is vitally important. You are no good to the movement if you do not, listen to me, if you do not do your job and write and teach well and do your service. You are useless to the movement as an educator, right? Your job is to make sure that you do what you are supposed to do so that you can offer yourself to these young people and to the people who are in movement. If you don't do that, then you become a debit to the movement itself. We need all different kinds in the movement, right? So one of the things that I write about in the book is the idea that there were people on campus who were bringing materials for the people who would be occupying. Okay, there were professors who did that, waters and tarps and tents and stuff like that. That might be a way that you do it. Now, here's the thing, and I don't suggest this for other people. I've always thought that I was young, gifted, and black, right? So I was always like, if you take this job, I'll go work for the Urban League or for the NAACP or whatever it was. Like, so for me, I've always said what I thought was right. And it's a muscle that I kind of honed as a young person because my parents, believed in saying what's right and standing on business, as the kids say. That was something that was etched in us when we were young. Now, here's the thing though, is the empire strikes back. And this is what I want you educators to know is the empire strikes back. So don't be scary, but you have to fight using angles, right? We have to be guerrilla fighters fighting the empire. Look, we're gonna be the Mau Mau, not the British Empire. Like that's how we have to approach this. And so we have to think our way through things and arrange a situation. One of the things that I did is try to make sure that that these administrators knew it's a really bad idea if you suspend or expel one of these students. It's going to be a really, really bad idea. Like, and I'm not saying that in the way of threat, but like, I won't be able to protect you if you do something like that. And but I had a different kind of positionality. So just remember your positionality and remember create space for these young people. Do your work so that you can speak and stand on business.
Well, hello, Dr. Bradley. Had to say hello to a fellow Bradley,
What
intellectual
up,
guy.
cousin?
Hey, what's up?
Yo.
You do have my father's nose, but anyway, um, you just do. Um, I agree with everything you're saying, and even though I definitely am not on the forefront, I think I wouldn't have been a freedom rider. I would have packed their lunches and made them
Come
pound cake
on.
and everything.
Come
Like
on.
I couldn't have been the one to be on the bus. I'd been like, I will make your lunch
Yeah.
and I want to see when you get back. Like
That's it.
everyone, the idea that we're all going to be doing the same thing is insane. You can't.
Mm-mm.
Everyone has to have a different role to play. But I do commend you that you felt like you wanted to go out immediately, despite all that you said about, I'm bougie and this. You did feel like you wanted to go out and help your students. And we just left the book club talking about schools pre-integration and how they were community based and how teachers really were a part of their students' lives. And so I just want to say that you are obviously from the book and everything, you were a part of your students' lives and you were one of those teachers that didn't just see them as a person filling a seat, but as complete whole human beings. So I just want to say that, I also am not super brave in that sense. I am intellectual. I hope to write and tell more stories. And I would have packed the lunches and not ridden on the freedom buses, but that doesn't mean that you don't have a kind of courage.
No doubt. Thank you for that. I'll receive it. But here again, like I would have felt like here's the point. We've been writing about the civil rights movement and the Black Power movement. Like we're part of Black Freedom Studies. Some of us on this call, part of Black Power Studies, right? Like I can't take advantage of these people. Like I've been writing about the movement all this time, and when it comes time to do something, uh, I had to have some skin in the game at this point, and so my students were braver than I. And so sometimes you have to know when to follow. Like I always took pride in the idea that I'm a leader and all that kind of stuff. Don't be stupid your whole life. Sometimes you have to know when to follow. Like, and that was the point for me, is I saw that they understood what democracy was better than I did. And so I'll follow them this time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, go ahead, Colin. We have time for your question.
Dr. Bradley, so good to see you,
What's
man.
up, my
Oh,
man?
geez, so good to see you. Quick question. Like you brought up health, and so I had to hop in. Um, my question is, in the case of your book in Ferguson, like I look at how student protests and educator protests um is related to health services
Mm.
and health policy change. I know there are a few cases like up in New York, for example, but in terms of like the interviews like that you had and the people you spoke with, and since all of this happened, what community health changes, like food deserts or more like food banks, a mental health services, health
Mhm.
policies have you seen because of these student protests,
Yeah.
writ
Excellent.
large?
Excellent question, Colin. Excellent question. Like one of the things that I didn't get to talk about on here is the idea that uh, the severe trauma that young people living in the Canfield Green experience because of all kinds of strangers being in their neighborhood all the time, because of helicopters thumping all night, because of tear gas getting into the air conditioning unit, and that sort of thing. There were kids, and I'm not trying to elongate this, but there were kids pissing the bed who never did that before, like because of the trauma. So my wife and others who were part of the Association of Black Psychologists went into the Canfield Green to to establish healing circles. This is important, healing circles to help people to break down what they were feeling and what they were going through. One of the things that had to happen is now the school systems have to have better counseling services. One of the things that happened back then in August, school was about to start. They told the kids when school started that you can't talk about what's happening in Ferguson. Imagine this. This is happening in my neighborhood. So these kids were bottled up with all this stuff, acting out. So it's a generation of young people who experienced that for a year that are trying to navigate their way through school. So that mental health piece is hugely important, hugely important. The other part that I think I heard you saying was investment in neighborhoods. So there have been groups that have worked exceptionally hard on this. The Urban League of St. Louis, which was a establishment group, not known as a protest group, anything like that. They played their part though, and they've been garnering resources, donation, and everything else to create resources for neighborhood job training programs and a number of different things that would allow young people an opportunity to get beyond circumstances in that way. But that health piece, let me just tell you this: that health piece is the most important because 6 or 7 different people from the uprising have died since. These are young people. 2 were found shot dead in their car and burnt up on 2 different occasions. Okay. Somebody hanged themselves. Somebody overdosed. This is health that we're talking about. This is health that we're talking about. And I didn't even talk about the idea how my man Justin Hansford went out to the UN, and tried to get the United States brought up on charges for violating human rights by deploying war materials like that tear gas and all that other stuff on people who have asthma and stuff like that. So, but that health piece is vitally important. Great question.
Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions at this time? All right. Well, please, let's show Dr. Bradley our love and appreciation. Thank you, Dr. Bradley, so much for sharing your wisdom and inspiring us to connect with our students over activism and all the different kinds of activism that can be done. I think this conversation is really, really important for us to be having right now.
That's right.
We put in the chat links to his books and our upcoming programming here at the center. Thank you so much for coming, and we hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
And remember, it is our duty to fight and it is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our what? Our chains, right? Okay, go get them, squad.